have to say for a copyright free. Very layered. A lot of depth in there. Very Benoit. As much as I'm enjoying this song, it's time for it to go. It's gone on too long. Now we're getting some backward music. Wow. No fucking around here, right in. Hee. Well, hello and welcome into this Tuesday's Movie News. I'm Jonathan C. Walsh here, as always, to discuss some movie news from the world of Hollywood, primarily tonight, but oftentimes you will find us discussing movie news from further afield, from the likes of India, Korea, the full shebang. But tonight, primarily Hollywood. Tonight, as the headline may have conveyed to you, Matt Reeves, one Matt Reeves of the Batman fame, of Planet of the Apes fame, has signed a multi-year deal with Warner Brothers Discovery, which of course means we are getting a confirmed sequel for the Batman. Now, I'm slightly concerned when I look at the monitor in front of me, which cost a lot of fucking money, and I'm seeing flickering. Now, I don't know if my eyesight is getting tremendously good, like a fucking bat at night, or whether the monitor truly is flickering, but we'll ignore that, as annoying as it is, despite the fact I'm looking at my ugly mush right in front of me. And we'll get into this. This shouldn't be a surprise to anybody on planet Earth who knows and has even a passable interest in movies. The Batman has always been one of the truly remarkable characters in comic book form, tailor-made to make that jump to the silver screen. We've seen it with, of course, the campy 60s TV show, and then obviously it made its proper cinematic bow with Tim Burton in 1989. He's always been a truly compelling character. In this next iteration, what we're talking, better part of 10 years after Chris Nolan did his thing with Christian Bale, was always going to be a success. You could literally make an emo Batman, which they did do, tack on some interesting story elements, make it bare bones, and it was going to be a success, this movie. Everyone with a fucking brain realised this, except from for the sort of select few nutbars on YouTube, the likes of Doomcock, who are going after this movie, who are saying it was a disaster on the set, who were saying that Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson were getting at each other's throats. It was a disaster. They were never going to work together ever again. It was a shocking relationship. He was getting actresses, i.e. Zoe Kravitz, up with Duff, as we like to say here, pregnant, as they like to say in other places. It was a fucking shambles of a production. The movie was going to bomb. Matt Reeves would never work with Robert ever again. This was all the shit that was funneling out of these guys' mouths on YouTube. You fast forward 6 months, the movie releases, it grosses well over $1 billion, it's hugely successful cinematically, hugely successful critically, hugely successful on every level, every quantum, measurable quantum you choose to pick. Matt Reeves, hugely excited about the movie's success, discusses sort of preemptively a sequel, says he's going to take a break. You then fast forward another few months and he signed a multi-picture deal with Warner Brothers. confirming he's going to be working on the Batman once again with his Batman, Robert Pattinson. Where am I going with this? Don't listen to Doomcock. Fucking come here and listen to movie news and stuff relating to the industry here. Because I don't talk shit like Doomcock. The movie wasn't a bomb. There wasn't a breakdown in a relationship between Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson. He didn't get Zoe Kravitz pregnant. There was no problems on the set. It was all rubbish. He signed a multi-picture deal, as you can see here. Until now, the projects were seemingly up in the air. Since Batgirl's cancellation, I can't quite tell you how much a single L in cancellation, how much that winds me up. That's American US English. There should be 2 L's in cancellation. That is just, it's wrong to read that. It hurts my brain. The grey matter gets destroyed cell by cell when I read shit like that. But anyway, that aside, it is an American publications movie web, so we'll go with it. We'll let them away with it. Every project within the DC Extended Universe and beyond has been under the spotlight for the company. Now, I did read another article about Batgirl. Strange setup. The directors weren't even finished editing the movie. They'd planned reshoots. They'd locked the creative team post-production out of the film. They couldn't access the footage. That's a shambles. That's really poor form. They didn't even give them a chance to right any perceived wrongs with that movie. But that's an aside. That's gone now. That's not happening. I feel for the people involved. We're speaking about the Batman, who, to be honest with you, always been a much more interesting character than Batgirl anyway, so I'm not really caring about that either way. Not much anyway. However, the deal between Reeves and Warner Brothers almost ensures, it most certainly does ensure, that fans will get more Batman content. Warner Brothers Pictures Group co-chair CEO Michael DeLuca released a statement expressing his excitement about the agreement. Pam and I are gratefully inherited. I need to read that again. Pam and I gratefully inherited the relationship with Matt from the Batman, and through the beginning stages of planning the Penguin series for HBO Max, we were excited to nail down his overall deal because it's a cornerstone of what we want to do with the filmmakers that are working at the studio. We want to create an atmosphere where all these filmmakers can excel and do their work and stay with us once they are inside the Warner's family. Keeping Matt and creating a home for him to do more projects in the Batman universe, but also originals, was very important to us. Now, this is a guy who has worked with Warner Brothers on the Planet of the Apes movies before. He is very much part of the Warner Brothers family, if you like, creative group. So this shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. This guy's an esteemed director. He's tried and tested at blockbusters. He's stuck the landing. For me, I really enjoyed it was him that did the Planet of the Apes movies, I'm pretty sure. Was it him that done the Planet of the Apes movies? I may be barking up the wrong tree here completely. I may actually have to search Matt Reeves up here, you know. Bear with me, I'm going to search him up. What a fucking shambles. All my macros are just linked to all manner of fucking buttons on the keyboard. I'm going to get back to that. That was really interesting, that, wasn't it? It's like I was there, but I wasn't there. That's really fucking weird. No, he did do the Planet of the Apes movies. I'm relieved to say I'm not talking shit. Adam McKay came into my head there for some reason, but it wasn't him. It's a guy who knows what he's doing with blockbusters. He knows how to stick the landing with trilogies. He's a huge Batman fan. He understands the character better than anybody. And the minute he slapped down that year one sort of novel of all the original Batman stories and says, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do a more detective heavy Batman. He had me hook, line and sinker. He cast Robert Pattinson as one of the few people on the planet that didn't have an issue with Robert getting cast as Bruce Wayne, because he's had such a brilliant career, a zany different career post Twilight. And he's really, for me, proved that in the Batman. I thought it was a stellar performance from Robert. Really understated in parts. Not perhaps enough Bruce in there, but the little moments we did get really hit home. They were powerful. The moments he shared with Andy Serkis as Alfred. Some really poignant, powerful moments in there. A different take in the character. So, everything all fell into place really from day dot for me with this trilogy, and I'm so glad to see he signed a multi-picture deal. We are going to get the culmination of this story because he deserves it. He's passionate about it, and he's assembled a truly stunning supplementary cast as well. Zoe Kravitz in there, Colin Farrell in there. Don't know why that sounded strange to me when I said that, but yeah, he's in there. And of course you've got potentially a Joker coming in this sequel, and I'm blanking on his name. So yeah, but he's an Irish guy, Barry Keoghan, potentially coming in the sequel, who could maybe shake up the way we perceive Joker as a character as well within this trilogy. That's why it's so exciting to me when you bring in a new Batman, you bring in the new gallery of rogues, villains. You get an opportunity for some young budding actor to give us something unique, different. Pav, hello, you are on time today. I'm late again. I get later and later every time I do these shows. 11:30 PM our time. Very late. Tone correction. I don't know, man. I don't, tone correction, I have no idea. Have you deliberately toned down your accent, or have I gotten used to it? Either way, that's a win-win for me. I have not toned my accent down at all. I think you're just getting used to it, Parv. I always say this to people when they come into the channel and they say, I can't understand a word you're saying. That accent's so thick. Are you speaking German? Is it Danish? Is it Russian? We've had Russian before. I always say, give it time. If you stick around, it will come eventually. I can understand everybody all across the world when they speak English. People from the Philippines, people from Japan, people from India, everywhere. Every state in the United States of America, I can understand. The only people I cannot understand are rural Irish farmers and people from North East Scotland. They are fucking another level. If you think I'm hard to understand, listen to these people. Listening to a drunk Irish farmer. Wow. It's impossible. Just give it up. It's not going to happen. Don't you think Joker has been overused by Hollywood? It probably is, yeah. But again, realistically, we've had two Jokers that I think are proper Jokers. Jack Nicholson, in cinematic terms. Jack Nicholson, Heath Ledger. Jared Leto's Joker was never truly Joker for me. He was a joke, but not a Joker. It was never really felt like the correct fit. He's a great actor. He's shown it before. He can be a chameleon. He can play murderous fat whales in the likes of your Mark Chapmans. He can play sort of robbers in Panic Room. He can do really unsettling villains in Blade Runner 2049, but for me he was never really a Joker. You need to have something intangible within you to make a good Joker. Heath Ledger, no one could have seen him being the Joker he became. Jack Nicholson perhaps, but it takes something unique within an actor, and I think Barry Keoghan's got it. Joaquin Phoenix obviously doesn't really count because it's a separate story. It's a Joker film. He's not within a Batman setting playing a villain. He is the sort of primary antagonist, protagonist if you like. So for me that doesn't count. So realistically we've had two really worthy Jokers in 35 years or whatever of storytelling. So I think the time's right for a different take. I think Barry Keoghan has definitely got it within him. We've seen it in The Killing of a Sacred Deer. He's a different, he's got the ability to be unsettling. Whether I want it in the second movie is another thing, but I definitely want to see that Barry Keoghan Joker teased out and explored in a movie within this trilogy, if it is a trilogy. Maybe the last movie. Build it up, man. We bring back Joker and Riddler. They're at each other's throats. They're at Batman's throat. That's what I want to see, man. I want to see something like that. Second movie, I don't know how we can explore it, but just as long as it remains faithful to the first, the detective roots, we get Pattinson given something similar to the performance, maybe giving us something a little bit different because we don't want to retread the first movie. Just exploring similar themes, similar tone to what we got in that first Batman movie. If we can do that, it's going to be a success, man. It really is, because I loved the Batman. I thought it was great. Just a brilliantly wrote movie, even down to the main theme, linking in with like your sort of Nirvana shit. Just fucking great, man. Loved it. Paul Dano's in there as well. He's another guy. Supplementary cash. You speak about supplementary actors. If you can bring in a Paul Dano as a supplementary actor, you know you're winning. You are winning. Believe me. These people on YouTube have not got a fucking clue. These right-wing goons who want to hate on anything they perceive to be woke haven't got a fucking clue what they're talking about. And I'm glad they've been made to eat humble pie. Not only with this movie's success, but with this guy here continuing to get it right up. You fiend by signing a deal with Warner Brothers to continue with his Batman, Robert Pattinson, who he supposedly hated on the set and never wanted to work with again. Okay, Doomcock. Drunk Irish farmer, I'm telling you, search it up. Oh, I swear to God, rural Irish farmer. And try and see how many words you can understand. It is unbelievable. It is incredible. I've got family from Ireland. My grandmother was from Ireland, Sligo. My great-grandfather was from Cork. I've got family, direct links to the Republic of Ireland. I can't understand these people, man. And then you've got the Doric mob, as I like to call them, up in the East Coast, the Aberdeen crew. Fucking hell. Total joke. They say words that have got no part of English. It's a completely different language. We do it as well in the lowlands of Scotland. Scots, we make up words. Dreek, Glaikit, words like that. We make our own words up. Well, we don't. It's a language. It's not made up. It's a separate language. This is slightly off topic, but do you think Nawaz Gaitondi can pull off a Joker? Absolutely, he could. Absolutely. Nawazuddin is unbelievable, man. He's one of the best actors I've seen ever. And you see it in Sacred Games. The performance he puts in, the evolution of that character over 16 episodes is remarkable. One of the main reasons I loved the show so much was Nawazuddin. Just unbelievable actor. And he's got that intangible thing within him. That sort of... He's got the minerals to play a really 3D villainous character, because ultimately Ganesh Gatondi was a villain, but he was a really well thought out villain, and all the good villains can make you feel sympathetic towards him. A lot of that's in the writing, but vast majority is in the acting, and Nawazuddin's unreal. Just unbelievable actor. And Saif Ali's good as well, don't get me wrong, but Nawazuddin was what kept drawing me back. And just the writing in that TV show, the fact that they killed the character off in the first episode, and he's right there at the very last shot, nearly the last frame of the show. Just, I love that shit. That's why I go in for the likes of Tarantino, who can create, Guy Ritchie, multiple perspectives, characters dying off but they're still in the story and leaving you wanting more. Brilliant. Well, anyway, man, if you've got anything to say, incidentally, I'll keep doing this theme. Stevens going down for the clips if he wants to put this out. I don't think he's going to be clipping this. This is actually the main headline in this show. But if you've got anything to say about Matt Reeves signing a multi-picture deal with Warner Brothers, pretty much confirming we're getting a Batman trilogy, multiple more movies from this guy under the umbrella of the Warner Brothers Discovery Studio. You can comment down below if you've got anything to say about that. Share your thoughts down there in the comment section. We'll get back to you if you would deem the comment worth replying to. And we deem most of them worth replying to. But I'm going to move on to this topic, man. Knives Out. We were speaking about Knives Out 2 last night. It actually may have been the headline. I think it was. And we spoke about the release date coming out December 23rd this year on Netflix. Getting a release in theatres as well, limited. We discussed the potential of this movie. Where could it go next? And lo and behold, the very night we're speaking about it, or the next day in fact, Rian Johnson, the little bald-headed maestro, is out discussing it and discussing where the movie's going to go. The sequel, Glass Onion, of course, it's called, the Knives Out Mystery. And he's went into it. It's going to go deep into the mysterious Benoit Blanc, of course, your primary detective, sleuthy figure in the movie, played by the brilliant Daniel Craig. This is what he had to say, a very long quote. He's got another quote as well I'm going to get into, speaking about the actual movie itself. This is what he had to say about the sequel. You definitely get to know him a little bit better. In the first one, because of the way it was structured, Marta, Ana de Armas' character, was very much the protagonist. In a big way, Blanc was the threat. He was almost the antagonist in terms of just the story structure, because you were worried, even as they get closer that he was going to catch her. That's one of the things I really enjoyed about Knives Out. When you create a whodunit, sometimes it can be structured from a Poirot in like an Agatha Christie story, where you are following the protagonistic detective and you want him to succeed. But the way he kind of subverted that and made us unknowingly follow the murderer, then reveal that she was the murderer, and then you've got Blanc almost turning into a villain. Even though we know he's the sort of good guy that's trying to unearth this mystery, he becomes the villain and follows and hunts down the sort of mystery of this death. I thought that was one of the best aspects. That's why Ryan's such a good writer. He's got the ability to subvert narratives, expectations, do something different, make you think. That's why I knew when it got confirmed he was doing a whodunit, it was going to be a success. Even after the whole I'm blanking on the name, the Last Jedi movie, the kerfuffle over that, the whole controversy, the toxicity from the fan base, people hating on it. I didn't hugely like The Last Jedi, but he's such a good director, independent director. I knew he'd succeed with that movie. I fucking loved the movie. Really excited for this sequel. I love whodunits. I grew up watching Columbo. I grew up watching these kind of stories, so I love this. I love the fact it's making a return. The fact Netflix have seen faith in them, giving them a lot of money to make this. I'm looking forward to it, man. But I digress. I get sidetracked there. Where was I? So Blanc was always outside of the sphere of our protagonist and was a little bit more of an enigma in the first movie, where, as in this one, Blanc gets an invitation to come to this murder mystery on this island. We're very much meeting these people and getting into this world through his eyes. Love that, man. Love the fact we're doing something different. We're shaking it up again, keeping it fresh for the sequel. One of the big issues with these kind of genres is that you can have a continuing story with the same sort of primary anchoring character, usually the detective, but it gets samey, it gets blunt, the impact, it becomes boring. One of the ways you can really fight that is doing what Ryan's doing in this: change up the perspective, change up the protagonist, change up the setting, obviously, which is important in a murder mystery. You don't want to be fucking going over the same thing again and again and again. Location, killer, thematics that have been explored. He's doing something intelligent here with this story by shaking it up and giving us Benoit as the main man. And Daniel Craig's such a brilliant director, or a brilliant actor. He doesn't get enough credit for me for the work he did with James Bond. I thought he was great, not just in James Bond though, but in other movies outside of James Bond. I think he's a really cool, suave guy off the screen, which is I think why it made him such a good James Bond. And putting him in this role, it just worked. You can tell he was passionate about it. Right down to the accent, he nailed that southern drawl. He nailed all the tics and mannerisms of a kind of a Poirot. I can't even fucking speak. A Poirot from the sort of Agatha Christie novels. He was perfect in that role. So getting him in this movie, being the protagonist, giving us a chance to see a different side to this character, that will tap into another side of his acting, and I'm looking forward to it, man. Thank you very much, Surya Pritam. Thank you very much for that little, I don't even know what you call them, donation. Is that what you call it? I don't know, man. We don't really get a lot of them, so I don't know what you call it, but thank you very fucking much anyway. We appreciate it. Not necessary, but we do appreciate it. But he continued on speaking about Knives Out, and this is what he had to say, man. This is about I believe the actual story itself, where we're going with this story in terms of potential murderers, potential characters who are going to pop up. And they had this to say: if Knives Out was about the murderous ties of flesh and blood, Glass Onion makes a good case for being just as wary of one's closest friends. When a tech billionaire, Miles Braun, played by Edward Norton, invites some of his nearest and dearest for a getaway on his private Greek island. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? Hint, hint, wink, wink. Princes and sort of political hierarchy. Getting off to islands, getaways, lots of debauchery. Lots of hangings and cells after it. Sounds very, very interesting and familiar. It soon becomes clear that all is not perfect in paradise, and when someone turns up dead, well, who better than Blanc to peel back the layers of intrigue? That's just... But by the way, did you see how slow that fade was there? Fucking hell, what's that about? That just sounds like a classic whodunit story, man. It's giving us little cherry, it's dangling it in front of us, and we're just waiting the anticipatory juices for what's to come in this movie. Well, I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm not going to spend too much more time on this. This is a bit of a filler topic in truth, but I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm looking forward to where Rian brings us in this movie in terms of location and in terms of story. Who's going to be the standout actor? Because there's some great fucking actors in there, once again. Looking forward to it. But look, if you've got anything to say about that, comment down below. Share your thoughts down below about Knives Out 2, Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery, the name, Daniel Craig becoming the sort of protagonist of the story with Benoit Blanc, and the vibes they're exploring with that actual sort of summary of the plot. Share your thoughts down below if you've got anything to say about that, and we will endeavour to comment, reply. I searched Drunk Irishman on YouTube and watched 2 videos. I'm just going to say you weren't kidding. That was almost unintelligible. Almost unintelligible. Part of that is completely unintelligible. There's actually a guy from 100 years ago who was speaking. He was the last guy to speak some fucking variant of English, Irish English. Oh my god, man, this guy was just unreal. Couldn't understand a fucking word he was saying. Not one word. Then there's a 16-year-old Northern Irish school kid who gets caught in a sort of snowy tundra. You want to listen to him speaking as well. Fucking hell. Unbelievable. Almost got frostbite. It was ridiculous. Ridiculous. These guys are ridiculous. Glass Onion, interesting. It is I'm a Beatles man. Stephen's a Beatles man. Glass Onion conjures up John Lennon in the White Album. Out he's not on heroin, acid, just prodding for something, for the name of a song. Glass Onion produces a brilliant song with it. I'm hoping it's the same with Ryan. I hope he's just been prodding for something. Maybe he's a Beatles man and he's just going to lean on that sort of crazy fucking, I don't know what you'd call it, hallucinogenic fucking atmosphere of that album, that song, and that's what we're going to get in this. It's going to be crazy, balls to the wall, shitty elongating. I'd like to see that. Benoit Blanc on acid. That's what I want to see. I want to see Daniel Craig actually going full method and potting acid, taking the old tabs before he does his performance. That'll certainly spice things up. But look, man, thank you once again, Surya, incidentally. Going to move on to this next topic. This will be perhaps the final. No, I may speak about Avatar. Avatar's re-releasing in theatres. They've gave us a trailer. I'm that underwhelmed. I didn't even watch the trailer. I seen Avatar, but 13 years ago. Do I want to go and see it again in the theatres? Well, I mean, we'll get into it. I'll speak about it briefly, I'm sure. James Bond, though, I'm pondering the question here. Does the next James Bond actor need to be much younger? Now, what is much younger? Daniel, I believe, was in his 40s when he was cast as James Bond 007. I don't know that for sure, but I think he was. He's knocking on 60 now. I want to say it was circa 16 years ago, the first Craig James Bond, Quantum of Solace, I think it was it? Casino Royale? I don't know. It was something like that anyway. It was 2006ish. So he was probably about 44, 43, which isn't far off the oldest cast James Bond actor, which I'll get into in a moment. So what is much younger than that? We're saying early 30s, mid 20s. That would certainly bring the likes of Tom Holland into play, who does want to play James Bond and has been pretty vocal in his desire to play James Bond. I'm going to furiously try and bring up the actors who are in line to play James Bond. I want to just look at their ages as I speak about this, very off the cuff. But as you can see here, it's Screen Rant covering it, speaking about the next James Bond. To date, 6 actors have played James Bond in the official movie franchise. It's an incredibly exclusive club. Yada yada yada. Speculations gain traction. They've begun their search for the 7th 007 and will have exacting standards when it comes to who will play the next Bond. And the actor's age is rumoured to be a key factor in any casting decision. This is just common sense, man. If you're going to cast someone to play James Bond, you want them to have that physicality, that youthful exuberance for as long as possible. You want them to have longevity over a decade. You don't want them to have 2 movies and then they're knocking on 55, 60. They're done in terms of acting. These high octane physical movies. You can't continue doing that into your 60s. It's not possible. It looks unrealistic. And even Tom Cruise, I mean, he's knocking on 60. He's just about getting away with it just now. There will be a point where Tom has to slow down as well and not do Mission Impossible movies for much longer. So I understand where they're getting at here. It should be important. Age should definitely be an important factor for a role like James Bond. Now, it goes two ways for me though, because James Bond does have a lived sort of persona. He's a guy who's experienced the world. He's weathered, he's been beaten and battered and shaped by life. So for me that rules out someone in their early 20s, maybe even mid-20s. Because although they are an adult, they're not beaten and battered by life. They've still got that invincibility. They've still got that I can take on the world attitude. James Bond doesn't really have that. He's a very cynical, calculated fucking killer. And that requires someone of a certain age for me. And it's why I was against Tom Holland's name coming up. Tom's a brilliant actor, he's English, he wears a suit well. By the time they make this movie he'll be knocking on 30. But for me, he just doesn't have that mature vibe to him. He looks very young. He looks like a guy in his teens. I don't think you can take him serious as James Bond. He doesn't seem to me to be a guy who's going to woo women. They're going to be falling at his feet. A guy that's going to be taken serious by these sort of mafia crime bosses. A guy that's going to be walking about fucking shooting people left, right and centre. He doesn't strike me as that kind of guy. He should still be Spider-Man for the next 10 years. Then he can start thinking about James Bond. On the flip side, people always want Idris Elba. I've actually got a quote from Idris here saying pretty much he's not going to be playing James Bond. He's confirming it. He's sick of getting asked about it. It's lazy journalism. He's done with it, man. It's not going to happen with Idris. Idris is in his 50s. It's too late. I think he's in his 50s. It's over for him in terms of playing James Bond. It's done. Dead in the water. So there's this sweet spot. And for me it's probably 30 to maybe 40. Where you're still youngish. You've still got the energy. You've still got that drive. You've got the longevity to play the character for maybe 10, 15 years. 40's getting maybe a little bit too old. Because you are getting into your mid to late 50s at the end of your stint. But for me that's the range. And if you look through this article, you start to see that it is the fucking range for previous Bonds. Arguably, for me, the greatest James Bond is Sean Connery. He was cast at 32 in his first James Bond movie. He played the character, he went away, he came back again. That's the longevity you need to play James Bond. But you have the lived in fucking look. I mean, this guy's 32 here. This guy's a fucking year younger than me. There. He looks about fucking 20 years older than me, man. But that's probably more to do with the 60s. And what they were eating. What was in the water. The soaps they were using. The lack of sun lotion back then. That's what done that to him. But you see what I mean here, man. You look through this article. Connery wasn't the youngest to play Bond. George Lazenby was 30 years old when he started. And his one and only 007 outing. That's not something we're going to see now. We're not going to get one and done James Bonds. This is going to be a franchise. You're going to get 4 movies with this character. You space it 3-4 years between. That's the better part of 20 fucking years. You're not going to get a one and done. Afterwards you've got 41-year-old Connery coming back briefly. And then as you can see down here, the oldest motherfucking James Bond was Roger Moore. 45 years old he was. So what am I getting at here, man? He should be much younger. He should be younger than Daniel Craig, who was in his 40s when he was cast as James Bond. He should be younger than Roger Moore, who was 45. They should be round about the Connery age. 30, 31, 32. Now, I don't know if that rules out some of the primary figures who'll be getting involved. I'm desperate to try to find some of them. Just now, you've got Jean Reggie Page. I know for a fact is one that's getting his name touted. He's 34. He's perfect, man. If they make this movie in the next couple of years, he's 36, mid-30s. He's got that ruggedness, he's got that experience, slight maturity, but still young enough to fucking do it for 10 years, 12 years. there's not many more in there, man. Richard Madden's in his mid-30s. The other Scottish guy, whose name's eluded me, I think he's in his late 30s. These guys are in that sweet spot just now, but the longer they take to make this movie, you're going to start losing some of these actors as potential Bonds if you've got a certain age range in mind. And that may bring the likes of Tom Holland on board. But for me, I don't know. It's going to be so interesting, man. Look, I'm not a huge James Bond fan. I'm not a fucking obsessive fanatic like some people. But he is a legendary cinematic character, and they rebuff the way they've modernised the character, they've modernised the franchise in light of the likes of your Jason Bournes, obviously your Mission Impossible with J.J. Abrams, Christopher McQuarrie, what they're doing with that, rejuvenating action franchises, giving us something different, pushing the boundaries of what you can do. They've had to reform James Bond as a franchise. They've done it with Daniel Craig. I hope they continue that on with a young, different James Bond. Looking forward to it, man. Looking forward to seeing who they cast and where they go with it, because it's a legendary franchise. But yeah, before I speak about this, incidentally, keep fucking coming away for these topics. I have to get into the habit. If you've got anything to say about James Bond, who would you want to be James Bond? Do you agree? Should James Bond be much younger? Is there a specific age range that they should be looking at for the next James Bond? What's too old? What's too young? Who do you want to be the next James Bond? Share your thoughts down below in the comment section about that, and we'll endeavour to get back to you at some point, I'm sure. Probably fucking quick, because I'm up at all hours, so I will scour the comments and reply if you drop a comment. But look, moving on to this. Briefly though, I'm going to just touch on this, so I do end on this topic. I'm going to touch on this poster. I was going to throw this in here as a topic. I actually didn't throw it in as a topic, but I felt, you know what, I'll put this in at the end and discuss this anyway. What a fucking poster this is, man. This dropped, I believe, today. No Way Home, new poster. 2 days ago it dropped. Clearly miles behind the curve. Fantastic. We've got the two Spider-Man actors coming in and obviously squaring off Tom Holland here. It's a tremendous poster. This is going to take pride of place on my wall at some point. I love it. I love the fact it's got the portals. It's got Doc Ock in there. It's just a brilliantly put together piece of postery goodness. Everyone's in there. Fantastic. Love it. Going to be buying it. But look, yeah, getting back to this. How that is annoying me, that. Why are we getting this slow fade and then we're not getting the slow fade when a scene change? OBS. An enigma. A true enigma. It has to be said. But Avatar. Yeah, it says I discussed this briefly, man. Avatar is getting a re-release in theatres prior to The Way of Water. The sequel is coming out in December this year. There's a trailer dropped. I have not watched the trailer because I don't have to be reminded about Avatar. I don't need a recap of what happened in the story. I grew up watching Ferngully as a young guy. Great cartoon movie. And it's the exact same fucking story. Set in space on an alien planet. Humans' willful lust for destruction and tearing up rainforests and planets and being a bit of a virus, destroying the raw materials of their own planet. The next natural step is to go to an alien planet and repeat the whole fucking process there. That's what this story was really going on about. It was about climate change without not being about climate change. And it had blue aliens and floating pieces of rock. And it had Sam Worthington, who was the man of the moment. I don't really need a trailer to rehash that for me. I don't even have to go back into the theatres and watch it again because I did that 13 years ago. But yeah, it's getting re-released. It's coming out on September 23rd. A theatrical re-release. This has got to be a record, even by Hollywood standards, for theatrical re-releases. This fucking movie has had more reruns in a theatre than I've had hot dinners. That's why it managed to get up to 2.8 billion at the box office and become the number one grossing movie ever, before it lost it and then regained it because Disney cynical bastards wanted to release Avatar sequel under their umbrella as the number one grossing movie of all time. And you best believe when they go to release the next two Avengers movies, they'll re-release Infinity War and Endgame to make hit the number one box office movie again. This is the way this company works. It's like a fucking merry-go-round of box office #1 spots. They just keep fucking re-releasing until they get the one they want to the top to promote what's coming out next. But yeah, man, it's coming out September 23rd. Of course, there was a whole nonsense about this last week. People were watching Avatar on Disney Plus. It was available to stream as part of the streaming service. Disney got up and just removed it at the fucking crack of dawn. Didn't let anyone know about it. It was gone off the streaming service. People were moaning about it. Some people were in the middle of watching the movie and then couldn't get it again. You can rent it for a cost. This is just Disney, man. This is what Disney do. They are like every other corporate entity on the planet. Capitalistic entity on the planet. It's all about the money. Cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money. Dollar bill, y'all. I'll throw some Wu-Tang in there. Because why the fuck not? That's Disney for you. Anything they can get their hands on in terms of fucking accumulating money, they will do it. They've got Avatar. They've got James Cameron. And they're re-releasing the movie. Look, the only way I will get back into this fucking theatre to watch this movie again, it's not for 3D, I don't even give a fuck about that shit anymore, I'm beyond 3D, is if they have gave James Cameron some limitless amount of fucking money to go in and give us extra footage, to do it up. You can see here it's going to have an updated 4K digital print. I don't even care about that. I don't care about updated 4K digital prints. I want additional content. I want them to change something in the story. Give us something a bit more. Give us something different. Give us a reason to be in the theatre to watch this again. Because look, it was a great theatrical experience. It definitely was. It fucking made the whole 3D thing happen for about 5 years. And it created that buzz. And it's James Cameron, man. It was an experience. But why would I want to go back and watch it again when I've already seen it in the theatres? Oh, to be fair, I'm being selfish. There is a generation passed since then. The Zoomers are now growing up. Maybe they didn't go to the theatres and see this movie. Hell, we've got an alpha generation who are knocking on 10, 12, 11, whatever age they are. They didn't go and watch this movie in the theatre. So there is a generation and a half of people who perhaps missed this in the theatre, and it's given them a chance to go and watch it again, or watch it for the first time on a big screen. And it is an experience on a big screen, to be fair. So look, maybe I should be less cynical. But for someone like me who's seen it, don't really give a fuck. One thing I will say before I end though, they continue, and I've been guilty of this as well. They say in the article that the critics of this movie say that it dropped out of pop cultural relevance. It lost all manner of fucking relevancy, if you like. Everyone forgot about this movie. It's not relevant in modern day society. No one remembers Pandora or the Na'vi. That's bullshit. That is a nonsense. People who lived it remember the story. They remember the characters. They remember the 3D buzz. They remember Sam Worthington. They remember it all, man. It's not dropped out of relevancy. That's just bitter people who wanted Endgame to win, like me, who said those things. It's still relevant. It's James Cameron. He's an absolute goat of a filmmaker. This movie will make fucking money again. In The Way of Water will make north of $1 billion if the world isn't fucking crumbling due to a recession by that point. If we're still able to spend money, I'll be in the theatre watching the sequel, believe me. If I'm not, so fucking be it. It is what it is. But look, man, that's going to round the show up. What's your thoughts, incidentally, on Avatar getting a re-release? What's your thoughts on it getting a trailer? Are you excited for it? Is Avatar still relevant in pop culture in 2022? Are you looking forward to the sequel? Share your thoughts down below if you've anything to say about that. And we will endeavour, I'm just going to keep saying that, to get back to you. Reply. Have a discourse. That's what we do here. We actually reply to comments. We've not got too big for our boots now that we think we're better than the viewers. We actually reply to the comments, unlike some. But look, man, that's going to round it up. My voice is starting to go. I've not drank enough H2O. That rhymed. I was going to speak about Halloween. H2O. Came into my head there. It was H2O, wasn't it? What was it? I can't remember the name of that fucking god awful Halloween movie. Halloween's going on streaming service, same day as in the theatres. What's your thoughts on that? Do you care? I fucking don't. Because I watched the last Halloween movie, and the one before that, and they were shit. The last one was a joke, I was laughing at it. I don't care about this trilogy. David Gordon Green, you're screwed it, mate. I don't care. I don't care about The Mask. I don't care about Sigourney Weaver. Jamie Lee Curtis. I don't care about Laurie Strode. I don't give a fuck about this movie. Put it on the streaming service. Tell you what, put it out for free. There you go. Don't give a fuck. What's your thoughts though, man? You can comment down below if you get anything to say about this show, my comments, the movies I've touched upon, the news I've touched upon. Anything you feel compelled to share can go down below in the comments section. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications button on YouTube to see notifications of when we next go live. We produce all manner of content, the likes of watch along reactions, movie news shows, reviews. The full fucking shebang gets done on here. If you're enjoying it, subscribe, hit the notifications button. Do the same over on Twitch to get live content over there as well. Follow, hit the notifications button over there to see us live over there on a different platform. Regardless of what you do though, thank you for watching, thank you for all the comments. We only got two comments from 2 people, but I appreciate you, Parv, for coming in and sharing your time with us. Commenting, man, interacting, that's what we're all about here. We want more of it. I like bouncing off and speaking to people. I can't fucking shut up. I'll speak to myself. A lot of times I do speak to myself, but it's better when I'm speaking to someone else. Thank you to Surya for donating. Fucking appreciate it. And what else left for me to say is until the next time, I'm done. Bye bye. I've also got a Patreon, guys. Can you see that there? Get early access on our Patreon. You can go over there and see content on there as well. I'm sure once we get the hang of that, we'll start putting content specific for Patreon on there as well. Thank you to everybody who's involved in Patreon, or patrons if you'd like. Appreciate it. Bye bye.